Taylor Wright, born on the 24th of April, 1984. Her early years were marked by hardship. By the age of 13, she was in the foster care system, removed from her biological mother's care. Life had been tough, and Taylor had developed a protective exterior that helped her survive. She was small and frail-looking, with stringy hair, searching for stability in a world that had let her down time and time again. Then she met Nancy Murkison, a neighbor who would change everything. Nancy recalled the first time she saw Taylor. "I don't know what it was about her, but I just said, 'You can come stay with us.'" Taylor moved in with Nancy and her sons, and for the first time in years, she had a home. A real home where she was safe and loved. Throughout her teenage years, Taylor thrived in New York's care. And despite everything she'd been through, she wanted to be friends with everybody. Those who knew her said she was kind and outgoing, someone who made an effort with everyone she met. As she grew older, that tough exterior remained, but underneath it was a warm-hearted woman who'd been shaped by adversity. In North Carolina, Taylor met Jeff Wright, a U.S. Marine. Their relationship was unconventional from the start. Our first date ended with us throwing knives at a dartboard. Jeff remembered she liked to lift weights and flex her guns. He was drawn to Taylor because she was different, smart, competitive, tough, and still looked amazing in a dress. The pair married around 2007, and in 2010, they welcomed their son Drake. Jeff said Taylor was an ideal mother, devoted to their child, and determined to give him the stable upbringing she'd never had. Taylor had found her calling in law enforcement. She joined the Jacksonville Police Department in North Carolina, serving 2 separate periods between 2008 and 2013. Jacksonville Police Deputy Chief Timothy Malfitano would later say that Officer Taylor Wright was a brave and spirited young officer who we were happy to rehire to service when she returned to the area in 2012. She was a loved and valued member of our law enforcement family. But despite the success in her career and the joy of motherhood, Taylor's marriage began to crumble after the family moved to Florida. The relationship became bitter. They decided to divorce during dinner on their 10th wedding anniversary. What followed was a contentious battle over custody and money that would define the final years of Taylor's life. Aside from the custody dispute, Taylor believed that a $100,000 settlement from a bad car accident she'd received before the marriage should go to her alone, not be divided as marital assets. Whilst the couple battled it out in court, a judge froze their assets. But Taylor somehow managed to withdraw the $100,000 anyway, directly defying the court order. During one heated argument, Jeff called the police. Taylor was arrested for battery. Although Jeff later dropped the charges, the damage was done. No police department would hire her after that. Her law enforcement career was over. Without a job or steady housing, Taylor reluctantly agreed to give Jeff full custody of Drake. It was devastating. She missed her son terribly and texted him every single day. The furious judge ordered Taylor to bring a check for $25,000 to the next court hearing scheduled for the 12th of September, 2017, just 4 days after she would disappear. After her divorce was finalized, Taylor worked to rebuild her life. She became a private investigator in the Pensacola area and began dating again, exploring relationships with both men and women. On a dating website, she met Cassandra Waller, a school administrator with Escambia County Public Schools. The relationship hadn't been perfect. There had been issues with Taylor's occasional drug use and a past infidelity that had hurt Cassandra deeply. But they'd worked through it. They were committed to building a future together. In September 2017, Taylor was moving into Cassandra's home. My whole birthday weekend was moving her stuff and helping her move, Cassandra recalled. But I didn't mind, because it was like, I was really happy. Taylor was also fighting to regain custody of Drake. The pressure was mounting, but Taylor was determined to prove she could provide for her son. Through all of this, Taylor wore a distinctive bullet necklace. It was part of who she was. Tough, unconventional, a former police officer who'd overcome so much. Nancy Murkison, the woman who'd given her a home all those years ago, said Taylor was a great mother who really loved her son. She loved her family and her brothers, and she loved me. For Nancy, Taylor was the daughter she'd chosen, and she was about to lose her in the most unimaginable way. Friday, the 8th of September, 2017. The morning started like any other. Taylor had plans to meet up with her friend Ashley MacArthur. They were going to sort out some business, run a few errands, and most importantly, go to the bank. Taylor needed to collect money she'd entrusted to Ashley weeks earlier. Money she desperately needed for her upcoming court date. Ashley MacArthur was 40 years old, married to a man called Zach, and a former crime scene technician with the Escambia County Sheriff's Office. She wasn't a sworn police officer and hadn't attended the police academy, but she'd worked in law enforcement long enough to know how crime scenes were processed. She'd resigned from the position in 2006. Ashley and Taylor had been friends for about a year. Ashley had a background in law enforcement, just like Taylor, and that common ground had helped forge their friendship. Taylor trusted her completely. What Taylor didn't know was that Ashley was facing serious financial troubles of her own. She'd been embezzling money from her family's business, Pensacola Automatic Amusement, which rented jukeboxes and pool tables to local bars. For 2 years, between 2015 and 2017, she'd been skimming thousands of dollars from clients, falsifying records, and short-changing bar owners. And she was having a secret affair with a man called Brandon Batty, the owner of Styx Billiard Hall, spending lavishly on him whilst her husband remained oblivious. Ashley had other lovers too, including Audrey Warr, who worked as a bartender at Brandon's establishment. Weeks earlier, on the 16th of August, Ashley had done something unforgivable. Taylor had given her $34,000 to keep safe during the divorce proceedings. The money was part of the $100,000 Taylor had withdrawn from her joint account with Jeff. She'd split it up amongst friends to hide it from the court. Ashley had promised to put it in a safety deposit box. Instead, Ashley had forged Taylor's signature on a cashier's check and deposited the entire amount into her own bank account. She'd already spent it. Credit card payments, a motorcycle, expensive gifts for Brandon Batty, including a boat. The money was gone. For weeks, Taylor had been asking Ashley to meet at the bank so she could get her money back. Ashley kept making excuses, different reasons why they couldn't go. But with her court date looming, Taylor was running out of time. She needed that $25,000, and she needed it now. On the 8th of September, Ashley finally agreed to meet. They would go to the bank together. That morning, around 11:20, Taylor sent her last text message to Cassandra. The pair had been messaging back and forth whilst Taylor was out with Ashley. Then silence. As the hours passed, Cassandra tried to reach Taylor. No response. She called Ashley. Ashley answered and said Taylor couldn't come to the phone because she was riding a horse on Ashley's family property. She promised Taylor would call back later. Ashley had even changed plans, telling Cassandra they'd decided to go horseback riding in East Milton instead of going to the bank. Cassandra said she was concerned from the beginning because she knew how important it was to Taylor to get the money. That call never came. At 7:58 that evening, Cassandra received a text from Taylor's phone. "I'll call you later. I'm not angry with you, and I should have called, but I just need to think. I'm trying to get my life organized and on track." Something about the message felt wrong. The language didn't match how Taylor usually texted. Close to midnight, another message arrived. "I'm okay. I just need some time to think. The move in court is very stressful. I need a few days to myself. Everything is okay. I am not doing anything bad." Cassandra knew in her gut that something was terribly wrong. She said, "I don't have any clue what's going on. I just know that something's not right. I was scared." Taylor wouldn't disappear without telling Drake. She texted him every single day, and she certainly wouldn't miss Cassandra's birthday dinner, something she'd been looking forward to. In a panic, Cassandra reached out to Jeff Wright. Their son had also been trying to reach out to Taylor, but he hadn't gotten any response. Jeff's reaction was strange. He then issued a startling warning, telling Cassandra that Taylor may get angry with her for involving the police in her business and that she should be careful. Disturbed, Cassandra continued to search for her girlfriend and began calling hospitals in the area. On the 14th of September, Cassandra reported Taylor missing to the Pensacola Police Department. Officers searched Taylor's home on Berkeley Drive. Everything was still there. Her car in the driveway, her personal belongings, her passport, money. It was as though she'd simply vanished into thin air. Initially, police didn't suspect foul play. Public Information Officer Mike Wood stated in the media that "We've investigated it, and at this point in time, we have no reason to believe anything suspicious has happened. We believe she left on her own accord. We've questioned numerous people, and through that investigation, that is why we believe she left on her own." But those close to Taylor knew better. Nancy Murkison, her foster mother, said her gut told her this was not normal behavior. Something had to have happened. She would not have taken off, and so someone had done something horrible to her. Behind the scenes, detectives were starting to piece together a very different story. They looked at everyone close to Taylor. Cassandra Waller was the first person investigators scrutinized. She'd reported Taylor missing. She was the last person Taylor had messaged, and she was in a relationship that had experienced problems. But Cassandra was cooperative from the start, handing over all of her electronics without hesitation. Detective Chad Wilhite said Cassandra wasn't trying to hide anything. She was very cooperative. But then, Ashley MacArthur dropped a bombshell on investigators. She claimed Taylor had had an affair with a woman in another town while she was seeing Cassandra, and that the couple had argued about it in the past. That was enough for investigators to search Cassandra's residence for any signs of foul play. During the search of Cassandra's home, they found Taylor's ID, passport, and money. Then they found something that piqued Detective Wilhite's curiosity really fast: a revolver that was missing a bullet. During an interview with investigators, Cassandra explained that she'd purchased the gun after Jeff told her that Taylor had gotten violent with him in the past. They also found an uncashed $19,000 cashier's check. But as investigators dug deeper, Cassandra's story checked out. Her phone records, her whereabouts, everything aligned. She was cleared. They looked at Jeff Wright, Taylor's ex-husband. He had motive. They were in a bitter custody battle. Taylor had withdrawn $100,000 from their joint account against court orders. The judge had ordered her to produce $25,000 at a hearing. Jeff stood to gain from Taylor's disappearance, but Jeff was hundreds of miles away in North Carolina when Taylor vanished. He was in the military and had since remarried. His alibi was airtight. He was ruled out. That left Ashley MacArthur, the last person to see Taylor alive. On the 15th of September, Ashley sat down for her first interview with Pensacola police. She told detectives that she'd picked Taylor up on the morning of the 8th. They'd driven to various locations during the day before going to Ashley's family property in East Milton to ride horses. They'd been there for about an hour before heading back to Ashley's residence around 4:45 in the afternoon. Ashley claimed she went inside her house briefly, and when she came back out, Taylor was gone. She said Taylor had called an Uber to go downtown to get a beer. Ashley said Taylor had picked up the $34,000, put it in a duffel bag, and taken it with her. Detective Willow Height noticed something about Ashley during this first interview. She was flirty, maybe a little playful with law enforcement. She didn't seem worried. She seemed relaxed, almost casual about her missing friend. But on the 16th of September, detectives discovered something that changed everything. Bank records showed that on the 16th of August, Ashley MacArthur had deposited a cashier's check for $34,000 into her own personal checking account. The check was made out to Taylor Wright. The signature didn't match Taylor's known signatures. It appeared to be forged, and the money had been spent. All of it. Ashley's bank account had been negative $43.33 on the 3rd of July. It remained negative or near zero until the 16th of August. Then suddenly, $34,000 appeared. Within weeks, it was gone. When confronted with this evidence, Ashley changed her story. She claimed that Taylor was hiding large amounts of money and trying to get her son back from her ex-husband. She alleged that Taylor was going from bank to cash big cashier's checks. Ashley had a motive: financial desperation. And now detectives would prove she'd had the opportunity as well. Investigators obtained Ashley MacArthur's mobile phone records, and what they revealed was damning. Ashley had told police she'd taken Taylor to her family property in East Milton to ride horses, but cell phone tower data told a completely different story. On the 8th of September, between 11:52 in the morning and 1:44 in the afternoon, Ashley's phone had pinged off towers in the Bayer encampment area near Britt Road. That was miles away from East Milton, and Britt Road was where the MacArthur family owned a farm. Between 2:40 and 3:33 that afternoon, Ashley's phone had pinged near Britt Road again. She'd been at the family farm multiple times that day, not in East Milton, where she'd claimed. There was more. Ashley had claimed Taylor left her house around 4:30 in the afternoon in an Uber. Detectives checked every rideshare service, Uber, Lyft, taxis. There was no record of any pickup at Ashley's address that day. None. It was a complete fabrication. Then surveillance footage came to light. On the morning of the 8th of September, Ashley had been captured on video at Tom Thumb Supermarket, driving a silver Ford F-250 truck. She'd purchased a beer for Taylor at a convenience store. But it was the footage from the 9th of September that was truly chilling. At 1:07 in the afternoon on the 9th of September, the day after Taylor vanished, Ashley MacArthur was filmed at a Home Depot. She was purchasing bags of fast-setting concrete and potting soil. During the investigation, detectives also discovered something crucial about the day Taylor disappeared. Ashley had contacted her cousin on the 8th of September, asking if he would be on the family farm that day. The cousin stated under oath that he told her he would be gone to a funeral and was not on the property. Ashley had made sure the property would be empty. No witnesses. As the investigation continued, witnesses came forward with shocking information. Brandon Batty, the man Ashley had been having an affair with, spoke to police. He admitted to the relationship and said Ashley had spent considerable amounts of money on his business and on him personally. She'd bought him a boat. She'd visited him every single day. Then he said something that made investigators' blood run cold. She told me they'll never find that. She's gone. 3 of Ashley's friends provided even more disturbing testimony. They said Ashley had talked about killing Taylor days before she disappeared. Audrey War, a local bartender and one of Ashley's lovers, said Ashley had discussed a plan to spike Taylor's beer with cocaine to cause a fatal overdose. She said she was going to put it in Taylor's beer. Audrey testified. She said this world would be better if Taylor wasn't here, and she wasn't a good person. She was too small to hurt anybody, so she'd just shoot her. 2 other friends, Alexis Cook and Jessica Wheeler, testified that Ashley had asked how much cocaine it would take to cause an overdose. One friend said Ashley told her she'd attempted to drug Taylor's beer on the 8th of September. But Taylor had spat out because it tasted funny or sour. That's when Ashley had changed her plan. She'd resorted to shooting Taylor instead. By October, detectives had built a strong circumstantial case. They had motive, financial desperation, and the theft of $34,000. They had opportunity, cell phone records placing Ashley at the family farm on the day Taylor disappeared. They had consciousness of guilt, the Home Depot purchase of burial materials, and they had witness testimony. Multiple people saying Ashley had planned to kill Taylor, but they didn't have a body. And without a body, proving murder would be nearly impossible. On the 19th of October, 2017, investigators made a strategic decision. They brought Ashley MacArthur to the police station for another interview, ostensibly to return her mobile phone. They read her Miranda rights and asked more questions about Taylor's disappearance. Ashley maintained her story, but her demeanor had changed. In the second interview, she was different. She knew she was caught. She claimed she didn't believe Taylor had been harmed. I think Taylor is doing what Taylor does. Ashley said, she's always come across as being tough. She's always carrying weapons, whether it's knives or guns or whatever. She's not an easy target. Whilst Ashley sat in that interview room, search teams were executing warrants on 3 properties owned by the MacArthur family. One of those properties was at 2201 Britt Road in Cantonment, the very location where cell phone records had placed Ashley on the 8th of September. They also searched Ashley's home in Pensacola and the family business, Pensacola Automatic Amusement. Investigators brought in K-9 units specially trained to detect human remains. They searched the wooded area behind the main property on Britt Road along a fence line. And then approximately 10 minutes after Ashley was released from her police interview, the cadaver dog alerted. Officers carefully approached the spot. There, sticking out of the ground, was a portion of a human skull. It was encased in concrete and potting soil, the very materials Ashley had purchased at Home Depot. They found what appeared to be a gunshot wound in the back of the skull. Detective Jeff Brown later testified. Taylor had likely been taken by surprise by her friend. As investigators carefully excavated the shallow grave, they found skeletal remains wrapped in a hammock. And there amongst the remains was Taylor's distinctive bullet necklace. Bridget Jensen, the lead prosecutor, said, "My gut told me at that point that it was going to be Taylor." The following day, the 20th of October, dental records confirmed what everyone already knew. It was Taylor, right? She'd been buried in concrete on her friend's family property, and she'd been missing for 41 days whilst her loved ones searched desperately for her. Ashley MacArthur was arrested that evening and charged with second-degree murder. The charge would later be upgraded to first-degree premeditated murder by a grand jury in November. Bond was initially set at $1 million. For Taylor's family, the news was devastating. Nancy Murkison said she was devastated. She needed answers. She wanted to understand. Nancy said about Ashley, "She's a horrible, evil person. And quite frankly, I hope she rots in hell." Cassandra Waller, the woman Taylor had been building a future with, was heartbroken. "Family, friends, and myself are grieving the loss of Taylor," she said in a statement. Taylor was outgoing and kind to anyone she met and knew. "We pray that justice will be served. I never saw it coming, and that's what's scary." She would later say Ashley knew what she did, and the whole entire time she was pretending to be my friend. Ashley took somebody that I loved. In February 2018, just months after her arrest for Taylor's murder, Judge Robert Perry granted a motion for Ashley's pretrial release. Despite being charged with first-degree murder, Ashley was released on a $400,000 bond with GPS monitoring. She was required to reside at her mother's home in Gulf Breeze. Then in January 2019, Ashley was convicted in a separate trial. She was found guilty of racketeering and organized fraud. On the 21st of February 2019, she was sentenced to 7 years in state prison, plus 3 years of probation. She was remanded to custody. Prosecutor Bridget Myers Jensen was worried. She'd just prosecuted Ashley on fraud and racketeering charges. And whilst the jury had convicted on those counts, they'd acquitted on the arson charge, which was based on circumstantial evidence. The murder case was also entirely circumstantial. There was no DNA linking Ashley to the crime, no murder weapon, no physical evidence, just cell phone records, financial documents, surveillance footage, and witness testimony. So, would it be enough? August 2019. Ashley MacArthur finally stood trial. Jensen told the jury Ashley MacArthur had a motive. Ashley MacArthur had the opportunity. Ashley MacArthur murdered Taylor Wright, and then she tried to cover it up with lies, concrete, and potting soil. The defense claimed Ashley came from wealth and didn't need money. They said she had back problems and couldn't move her body, but prosecutors showed photos of Ashley scuba diving, fishing, and horseback riding. The witnesses were damning. Zach MacArthur sighed when asked if his wife could have committed murder. I can't see her doing something like that. She's super intelligent. It's just sloppy. After 4 days, the jury deliberated for 3 hours. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of first-degree premeditated murder with a firearm. The courtroom erupted. Judge Shackelford sentenced Ashley to life in prison with a mandatory minimum of 25 years. Ashley sat expressionless. No remorse. Ashley was sentenced to an additional life sentence for racketeering and fraud, ensuring at least 36 years behind bars, even if the murder conviction were overturned. Nancy Murkison said, "In so many ways, I feel that I was robbed. I love her and miss her, and that will never stop." Cassandra struggled with the betrayal. "I never saw it coming. She was pretending to be my friend the whole time." Drake grew up without his mother, raised by Jeff in North Carolina. In April 2021, Ashley appealed. The Florida Court of Appeal denied it. She's serving life and won't be eligible for parole until 2044. Taylor's bullet necklace became a symbol of who she was. Tough, unconventional, a survivor. She's everyone's daughter. She's everyone's sister. The murder of Taylor Wright is the ultimate betrayal. A trusted friend who murdered her over $34,000. Ashley forged Taylor's signature, stole her money, and when Taylor tried to get it back, Ashley killed her, buried her in concrete, used her phone to send fake messages, and let everyone search for 41 days. But justice can't bring Taylor back. Drake grows up without his mother. On behalf of the family, we are grateful for the gift of Taylor in all of our lives. Please don't forget Taylor. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so you can be the first to hear about such real-life stories.